Hey guys, welcome again on this video. So the first thing I do whenever I'm creating a logo is I'm always finding inspiration. One of the biggest things I learned from art school was never create in a vacuum. When you create in a vacuum, you're not only hitting your head against the wall, but you're also reinventing the wheel when you don't really have to. So the best thing to do is to start going on Pinterest. This is what I love to do as one of my first steps. So since we are branding a holdings company called King James, we're going to be looking at different kind of styles of logos, even packaging, and looking within the industry and then without the industry and seeing what else is out there that can help influence this design and this creative direction. So let's start diving in. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to type in crown logos, which I started already looking at. So I'll let that load. So we start seeing some designs, and we remember we have to appeal as a holdings company, so something that has like a financial kind of look. Like this is kind of cool. Let me save this. So that's kind of an interesting logo design. So whenever you're thinking of like financial, when you're thinking about banks and things like that, you know, it's about structure. It's about making things feel like they're supported, that they're protected, that they have a great foundation, something that just feels secure. I already did this one. So that's kind of the idea that we want to go with. Now, as far as the look and feel, I'm kind of being a blank slate at this point. I'm just really opening myself up to just visual styles that that appeals to me. I pulled this one already. I thought that was kind of cool. Doing some kind of monogram with a crown I thought would be interesting. And yeah, you know, I don't really want to use animals. I think I just really want to just focus on the crown and the typeface. I think the crown itself could be really interesting, so I don't want to overcomplicate things. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not really seeing anything. I do like these colors, so I will do that. You know, what else? That monarchy over there looks kind of cool. Gold castle right there, I used that already, right here. I'm just going to go just a little bit further, see if there's anything else that sticks out. You know, this is kind of interesting. It's a little feminine, but I like where it's going. And I feel pretty good. This one's kind of cool. Alright. So now that we have some ideas with crowns, let's look at what's a high-end kind of brand, because you know, let's look at some financial institutions. So let's look at bank logos. Just waiting for my internet to catch up. I'm doing a full screen grab, so screen capture, so it's still going a little slow. Thank you for your patience. So these are very modern, which isn't a bad thing. I definitely feel like they can be in the more modern world. It doesn't have to be super classy or classic, I should say. But I'm not really seeing anything that's sticking out to me. All right. Let's just see what these have to do. Brand identity. This is kind of nice. So as you see, I'm really wanting to go with more of a simplistic kind of design to this. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Alright, let's keep going. So now let's look at some liquor brands. What about liquor branding? I love alcohol packaging. I think it always looks so cool. I used to work at an agency where we would create our own liquors, and we would do the label designs for them as well, which was really fun because we were our own best client, so we could make it look however way we wanted. So, and liquor can appeal to a very high-end client. So that's why I do look at liquor packaging. Like, this is kind of interesting. Let's kind of dive in and see where this will lead us. Now, if anything, I can take away a color palette or a certain kind of aesthetic that I find interesting. Because, ultimately what we're going to do, we're going to mishmash all these ideas that we find cool, and that's how we make things our own. So this is what is called synthetic creativity, where you make connections where people don't necessarily see, and you create something interesting from it. Alright, I'm not really seeing anything here either. Let's just keep going. Alright, let's look at some like watches, right? These look a little cheesy. Yeah. This is kind of cool. Let's go down this rabbit hole, see where it takes us. That Maya one's pretty dope. Not right for this project, but that's pretty cool. So this is just, I'm literally just poking around, and I do this for a little bit. I do this for a little while. And, I don't really have any expectations what I'm going to create. I'm just kind of seeing what's sticking out to me. What do I like? What would be fitting for the client, knowing what it is they're trying to achieve. And also, what's just going to be a really fun project? What's going to be interesting to me to want to work on? Because if I'm not excited about it, then, what's the point? So making sure that I'm inspired, that I'm excited to work on it too, it's super important. So I'm not really seeing anything here. All right, let's dive into something else. So I also have brand boards of my own, which you are free to look at. They're just in my Pinterest board. Go to boards. We can go to logos here. See if there's anything that I pinned before that could be really interesting. These kind of designs could look really interesting for the logos. It's more of a modern look to it. I really like, that's cool. I like the idea of doing layering. I think that's kind of cool. Right, and it looks more, I can see how like a crown, the different triangles can kind of overlap like that. That could be interesting. I love use of negative space. Here's kind of an example of what can be done with the crown. You can kind of start seeing, it's a W. Here's one that's more angular. That K is cool. It's a KA or an AK. JKs or I'm sorry, KJs are a little hard. You see a lot of JKs. It's a lot easier. This is interesting. I like that. So yeah. You know, and another approach could be that it's more of a modern feel. You know, look at, you know, there's a lot of companies out there that are high end, but that still have this kind of very clean, very colorful, very, you know, dynamic logos. So that's totally an option. Okay, let's look at some other boards I got. I like the stag idea. That's kind of cool. It's like Game of Thrones. Alright, let's go back to my boards. Let's see what else I got. And the way that I do my Pinterest is, you know, if I'm just hanging out, if I'm just chilling, if I'm waiting in line somewhere, I just go on Pinterest and I just start pinning. You know, that's helps me pass the time. It's kind of mindless, so it's like it's fun. So I just have tons and tons of Pinterest boards, and I'm always pinning. You know, make that a habit. Because whenever you are looking for inspiration, then you just have your own buckets that you can tap into. Instead of always looking online, instead of researching, you just go to your own well. There you go. You get all your designs. So these are cool. I'm not really seeing anything I like for this specific project. That's totally cool. You know, these are kind of cool. It's got that crown. You know, that's a nice kind of crest idea. It's got the gold. That's pretty dope. Let's save that. So far, that has been the closest thing that I'm like, oh yeah, I can do something like that. But let's just keep looking. I'm not going to do this for too long. Hear baby crying. Alright, well I feel pretty good. So let me go back to my board. We can look at an overview of everything. I think it's all the way to, here we go. King James. I guess I could have searched, but hey. I can give you guys a scenic view of my Pinterest. So cool. So these are definitely a good start. I definitely am liking these kind of styles. I feel like there's kind of a good range. You know, we have some that are very structured, right? This one's very flowy. This one's very flowy. This brings in some kind of monogram. This is, you know, really nice colors. I like those colors. Blue definitely represents loyalty, trust. So those are always really great colors for a financial institution, but I like that it's even a darker color, blue. I think that is interesting because it doesn't look like a Chase Bank or anything. Definitely love this chocolate packaging here. This right here is so dope. I really want to experiment with something like that. So I feel pretty good. So this is basically my, I guess my scavenging for ideas process. So like I said, get a Pinterest board if you don't have it. Start pinning stuff. Start creating boards. You can create different kind of boards for yourself. And then for each client, create a board for them and start pinning ideas. And what's really cool about doing this, you can actually add your client and they can start pinning their ideas that they like, instead of trying to pull information out of them. You can just be like, hey, go on Pinterest, find some color palettes, find some logos you like, and they can start pinning. So that's a great way to not having to sit with your client and hold hands with them for the whole time trying to understand what is it that they're trying to look for, because sometimes they don't even know what that is. They'll know when they see it, and this is a great way to overcome that challenge. So I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, I feel pretty good about these options here. So I'm going to go ahead and start sketching.